Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime.
You know, the mind is a magnificent creature. But we don't understand a lot about it, and things can get set in our mind that you really need some help to get through it and understand that there's a better way to be. And for that reason, we have taken the opportunity to bring Jacqueline Young into our world. She's the mind shift coach, and she's also a hypnotherapist, and she works with people to help them live, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, live their best life, because at one point in time, and she actually even says this on her website, she actually even says that everybody asks the question, what am I here to do? Why am I here? And that is a really complex question that can take, for me, it took a long time. But that can be a conversation that you have with yourself for years. And it affects other people around you and all of that, because if you live your life with passion, sometimes other people that are around you don't agree with that. Yeah. Because they like you the way you was, not the way you is now. And it makes it really difficult sometimes for you to break free from all of that, because of who you really are is not who people have said you are. And Jacqueline helps people with that and a whole bunch of other stuff. So welcome to the show, Jacqueline. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I am thrilled to be here. And I just have to say, I love not only the introduction that you just gave, but the introduction to your whole show, because Positive Talk Radio is absolutely necessary right now.
There is, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of crap going on right now. And even in the relationship, now you're in Canada, you're in Ontario, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
And even in the relationship between the United States and Canada, which is kind of a little rocky at the moment, because we've made decisions, at least one of us has made decisions that are not good for the relationship that we have with our Canadian brothers and sisters, because I happen to think that you guys are just, I've talked to a lot of Canadians, and you guys are just really cool people.
Well, we like to think so, but thank you very much for saying so. You know, it's drama, and there's distractions going on, and it's a hard time for people to kind of keep their eye on the prize. And I think that that's really what we all need to do, however you define what that is, being able to kind of cut through all the noise, the cacophony of everything that's going on, and really just kind of be singular if you can, in terms of a belief system that serves you well. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. And it's really hard when you're immersed in the drama of what's going on around you, and then you take it on as part of who you are, because you get drawn into the drama. Okay, everybody, stop me if you've heard this before, or if this is happening in your life, which you could very well be. You take on the drama of everything else. And what drives me crazy is that somebody can really do something silly and cause you to take it on and feel really bad about something. And then they totally forget what it is that they said to make you feel bad. So we have got to learn, and with people like you, we've got to learn to let it go. To let it be, that it's okay. You cannot control somebody else's behavior. I don't know. Some people seem to think they can, but you cannot.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, you've hit on a number of things very wisely there in terms of understanding your own triggers, understanding, what other people are doing around you to trigger you on purpose, because for some people, they really quite get off on that. And understanding what your own demarcations and your own boundaries are is really, really important, because the more that you know about yourself and the more you understand, oh, that's a trigger. Oh, now I know why it's a trigger. Now I know why I can hardly think straight when someone either speaks to me that way or uses a tone or a phrase even can kind of get you triggered. It's really important that we spend some time understanding what those are all about. Because coming back full circle to what you said at the very beginning, it's important to spend time with yourself and figuring out what your purpose is and what it is that is going to engage you enough so that you can find your silence and find what's really going to make you happy. And it sounds ridiculously inane and sometimes very, very simple, but it's pretty profound when it actually is working and you're in flow.
And I love the way that you said that. When you're in flow, then everything kind of flows with you. Let me give you an example. I was at a stoplight 4 days ago, and there was a car in front of me, so I couldn't go anywhere. And this car comes up behind me, and I'm saying to myself, "My, isn't he going a little fast?" And so he hits me from behind. And fortunately, there wasn't much damage on my car. But then he backs up a little bit and goes around me and disappears. So it was a hit and run.
Oh
Now,
no.
I had a choice on how
Yeah.
I was going to respond to that. I could have tried to chase him. Now, I'm a little older, but I could have tried to chase him. I could have made a great big deal of it. But my thought process was, I'm not hurt. I don't want to go do that, and I'll just let it go. And because of that, it didn't ruin my day. It didn't ruin my hour. It didn't ruin my minute, because it was okay. I'm just
Yeah.
going to let it go. But a lot of us have trouble with that, don't we?
Retribution is the word that literally just came to my mind when you were saying that, and a lot of
Yes.
us can get very stuck in the necessity for retribution to demonstrate that I was right or that I was wronged, and that it's important that I take a stance. And I think your example is so wise, because you're right. We all have a choice to make in those milliseconds in terms of, okay, well, how do I want to be in here? What's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost my energy drive? What do you think is going to be the outcome that you're hoping for? And the funny thing is, like, when someone is coming at you in a retribution like manner, the easiest way to get them diffused is simply to agree with them. How dare you? You have no right. And if someone's coming at you with that energy, simply say, well, you're right. If you were wrong, then to admit that you were wrong. But it's so curious when you take the wind out of someone's sails when they're coming at you with that energy and they just want to engage you. And really, like, there's there's a whole energy around that. I'm going to engage and I'm going to win. And you can see it in someone's face, like through their eyes when they're coming at you that way. The easiest thing for you to do to not get triggered is simply just take take the sail out of their wind. And then it's got nowhere to go. Like, it's so powerful when you recognize that you literally don't have to engage. And that's the choice that you made. I'm not going to engage in this today. Like, it's not worth my energy. It's not worth my mindset. It's not worth, like, whatever's going to come out of it. It's not worth it.
Exactly. And you know what's fun about that is when you take that attitude,
Yeah.
and then the other person has got nowhere to go with it. They're like, yeah, but well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and it's like, well, no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Have a nice
Okay,
day.
bye-bye.
That is
Exactly.
so deflating to them.
It is indeed. Yeah. And it really allows for you to feel connected to yourself and to actually feel in control, as opposed to victimized and out of control, which is a lot of people kind of like to live there. And If that's your desire, then knock your socks off. But it costs you so much in what's happening in your body. Like a lot of people that are unhealthy or have chronic issues, a lot of those people are feeding a sense of defeatism and victimization and always looking for retribution and to kind of start a fight. And those two things are completely linked together.
Exactly. And Lori says, breathe and leave.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that, Lori. Yeah. Breathe and leave. That's right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what are you going to do? I mean, it has already been done. And if there was damage to the car, there was damage to the car. And then he takes off and does a hit and run. And am I going to chase him down? What am I going to do when I get there?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
and so, but we all tend to do that. You're right. Retribution. I was wronged and I'm going to do something to be right about it.
That's
And I'm
right.
going to make you suffer because you were wrong.
Yep. Yeah.
Why do we do that?
Well, and if anything, recognize now that we've got a lot of hot people like running really hot. So if someone has the mindset that they're going to hit you and then hit and run, I don't know that that's someone that I really want to be chasing, because they've already demonstrated that they're a little kind of, left of center for me in terms of, is this someone that I think I'm actually going to make a difference with? Am I going to have an actual conversation with? I doubt it. They've already demonstrated a big portion of who they are to me.
Well, and this happens if I had, as an example, decided to chase him, then he would have sped and he could have hurt somebody else. And then how would I feel about that? That I was party to him injuring somebody else, and it just isn't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Riding that anger wave or wave of anger or rage is something that a lot of people are really enjoying right now. Again, coming back to the I was wronged and therefore I'm going to engage in retribution. And they really will quite purposefully ride that anger wave. And it takes a real thoughtfulness to be able to go, you know what? No, I'm not there. I don't want to live my life there. I don't like who I become when I live there, because none of us do. None of us do at the end of the day. We will just reap on the recrimination afterwards and go, what the heck was I thinking? Or we take it home and we engage in with the family in a way that's kind of still has all that lingering wave of anger going with it. So there's nothing about it that actually serves you and serves you well. But to recognize that, oh, that's not who I really want to be in the moment is really hard work.
It is, and it requires you to be aware of your inner self and your heart, and to really, because road rage is a thing, and it's a bigger thing today, because you cut me off and you did that and that, and I'm going to get you and that, and then somebody pulls a gun, and then we are
You're a
so
statistic.
silly.
Yeah, then it's a statistic. Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'll be the first person to say, Kevin, I can say all this. And if someone comes in or if I wave them in and then they don't wave back, I just want to clip them. So
Of course.
we all have these feelings and they're quite normal. How we want to deal with them is what sets us apart. So yeah, like we're certainly not talking to someone who's got it all figured out. That's for sure.
And of course, we do what I used to be famous for, which is when somebody cut me off or wronged me, I want to catch up to them to see what they look like.
Me too. Yeah. Yep.
And it's a really pointless exercise. It really is. But you work with people to change their mindset, and you use the powerful modality of hypnosis to really make it work, and to give them a different perspective. The president's calling. I don't want to talk to him.
But yeah, you have to get that. I'll just answer your question. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the things that I do is to help people with limiting beliefs or a mindset that really they don't like about themselves, or they recognize that they've kind of taken on a script from either their childhood, like you're the child who is this way or that way, and they really want to rid themselves of it. So anything that feels like it's making your life challenging in a way is what we work on. And all of those mind shifts are quite easy to do when you're dealing with it at the unconscious level or the subconscious level.
And I know you've been doing this a while. It is a fascinating subject matter when you start looking at all the things that hypnosis can do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably one of the most incredible things that I have been ever engaged in, because the transformation that can happen is literally within one, maybe two sessions. I do not have a lot of clients that are with me for years and years. I don't have anybody basically past 3 sessions. Now they can come back a year later and say, oh, that worked so well. Now I want to try, like getting rid of the guilt of my mom or procrastination. Like once you recognize that you don't have to live in a particular mindset that doesn't serve you, then all the easy or the hard things that are challenging in your life, you think, oh, I wonder if Jackie or a hypnotist could help me with that. And the answer is yes. But what I will say, and I want to get this in very quickly, is we are not a regulated profession. So do your homework and figure out who you are talking to, because people can call themselves a hypnotist after a short course or a very long, in-depth course. Ask people about their training, ask how long they've been doing stuff, look for testimonials, all that kind of stuff. It's like for any profession, you want to do your homework before you sign up to work with someone. It's very, very important to do that.
And by the way, we're talking with Jacqueline Young. And if you go to her website, which is
openmindshypnosis.ca, because I'm in Canada, and open minds with an S, openmindshypnosis.ca.
And we need to take a quick break. It's just 46 minutes, and we will be right back with more with Jacqueline. Rochelle is going to be here at one point, maybe. We shall see. And we'll be right back.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Jacqueline Young is here. She is a mind shift coach. She uses hypnosis in a myriad of ways. It is amazing what your mind can do if you open it up. Let me give you a real quick example if I can, and you tell me, because I've been under hypnosis, and it's not like you're knocked out. You're very well aware of what's going on in the world and what's happening around you, but I was put under hypnosis because I wanted to understand some things about my life and what I was doing and how it was working. And so I wanted to access my spirit guides or the guides on the other side or my ancestors or whoever would be interested in doing that. And she taped the whole thing. And tell me if this is common, is that I remember being there and I remember the questions, but I don't remember giving the answers because it was like it was just flowing from me. And then when I repeated it back and looked at the transcript, it was like, boy, they're pretty smart up there, ain't they? Because I had no earthly idea what they were saying at the time. But is that true? Is that hypnosis?
Absolutely. I mean, hypnosis is a word that kind of encompasses a whole bunch of things, and you're right. It helps with so many things right now. And before I move on, I just want to give a shout out to Lori. I didn't recognize it was a friend of mine. So hey, Lori. I just looked over at the chat. But you're right. It's one of the reasons why you're not asleep is that sleep happens when you are in your delta waves. And what we like to do is take you down to theta, which is the brainwave pattern just before delta. Most of us, or certainly I, will be having a conversation with you when you are in that state. So I don't want you sleeping. I want you able to listen to what we're saying and to get the thoughts that are coming to you and to be able to partake in a conversation. I have every respect that your unconscious mind is going to take us exactly where we need to go because it knows far more than I do about you. It's been with you since before you were born. And so therein lies the magic of all I do is kind of act as your GPS and take you into that beautiful theta state. And then we do our work, whatever that work is all about. A lot of people will remember the sensations, or they'll remember the words, or they'll remember kind of the memory, or kind of like the aura of the whole thing. It's very different for every single person. I have to share, I once had someone who got their information, kind of their download of information of knowing more about themselves through smell. Like it was the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
And I just had a client the other day who had no downloads of words or downloads of anything other than images. And so we had to really kind of deconstruct the images as they came to her. And it was every single time, however information comes to you is very specific and very unique to you, to the client. But have I ever not seen it work? No, I've not. It's just one of the most transformative things that I've ever done with people. And you're right. It's more about what happens in that unconscious state. You'll remember the feelings, you'll remember what you're meant to remember. But one of the things that all of my clients say is that they simply feel lighter, because that's the only word that kind of encompasses that idea of, oh, it feels like, I've got an elephant's foot off my chest, and I never even knew it was there, but all of a sudden I can breathe easier and I can think more clearly. And so the word lighter is what really encompasses most people's perspectives. And then certainly if they're very goal oriented, then what happens in terms of that goal that we've set.
And this gentleman that I can still not pronounce his name, he's from Kenya, and he's one of our, he says this is his favorite program, and thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And you can get some real good insights from Jacqueline today. So so you can help people quit smoking. You can help people change their behaviors in a myriad of ways. If you come to them and say, why do I get triggered every time X? And then you can help them understand how that works so that they don't get triggered, so that they don't then do something that they regret doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of us know when we're triggered, like we have so many feelings on so many different levels. On the one hand, you can feel retribution and that you were right to be upset. And then after, you cool off, you think, well, I wish I didn't get that mad because I said something I shouldn't have said, or I've got someone else involved, or it was just, it was me flying off the handle, and I don't like that about myself. And so whenever you feel stuck in a behavior or a thought process like that, hypnosis can help you very, very easily. Like I said, I don't see people usually more than 2 sessions over one situation. And that's really freeing also to know that, oh, I'm not going to someone for years and years of therapy. We can probably clean up what's going on and address it where the problem lies in your unconscious mind really, really quickly. And so one of the things that I really want to be able to share with people is when you are stuck, you're stuck at your unconscious mind level. Like that's really where the impetus of all of your behaviors and your thought processes happen. Your emotions are all tied up in everything that's happening at the unconscious level. So as soon as you want to start doing the work where the problem is, then a hypnotherapist is probably the best person that you can reach out to.
Well, there are people that are, and I think this is most of us, we do not recognize what's really going on with us. We know how we're reacting to stuff, but it's kind of on a superficial level. You operate on a much different level because you're getting into the core of what's going on with people. And then you're able to, like, why does somebody smoke? Um, and then you're able to help them figure out what that is, and then give them suggestions. Correct me if I'm wrong. Give them suggestions on ways that they cannot do that behavior anymore because it's bad for them.
Let me give you a great example. This happened when I was really just starting out. It was one of my very first smoking cessation clients. And she came to me knowing full well that she should quit smoking. Her father had passed from lung cancer, so she knew exactly what was going on and why she was doing it, or why she needed to quit, rather. My apologies. And so we just kind of delved into being able to explore, well, what was the reason that she kept smoking? And what came out, because we usually talk to a part that's responsible for the behavior and say, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You know that this is hurting her. So what is it that you're trying to do? And a part of her said, well, it's a really lovely way for her to connect with her dad. They used to go out smoking all the time and just have a chit chat on the porch, or, whenever they were at a function, that would be part of what kept them together. And it's very special to their relationship. Well, that makes perfect sense. Like, there's something really beautiful about that, except it's smoking. So all we had to do was kind of say, great idea, great impetus, but we need to now switch the behavior that you've landed on. So what is another thing that they used to do together that they loved? Oh, they both loved reading about real estate. Okay, so now whenever Frances sits down and opens up the real estate section of the paper, she's going to have a moment that she really remembers her dad, and just kind of sits in the pocket of remembering her dad, and then move on with their day. And she quit smoking. Like, it's once you can recognize what the trigger or the impetus or what really the behavior is attached to, and then you deal with the attachment or the emotion or the fear or the guilt or the shame, then you're able to kind of switch everything around it nice and cleanly, and then move forward. And people always say, is it really that easy? Because you're working at the unconscious level? Yes, it is. You're not having to, kind of work through things in a more challenging fashion like regular talk therapy. You're doing the work where the problem exists at the unconscious level.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong again, but then when you're doing it at that level, then the triggers that you had, that, as an example, having a nice meal, having a cup of coffee, having a good moment of intimacy, all of those things, they trigger the behavior of wanting to, now that I've done this, I'm going to smoke now. And then does that help them manage that behavior, that it doesn't matter anymore, and that they can just get through it and past it?
Yeah. Absolutely. I had another smoking client that came to me, and it was like, well, what do you want to do with the free time now? Because that was the fear. Like, she had a lot of ritualistic things. And what she ended up doing, again, it didn't come from me. It came from her unconscious mind. Well, you're playing with the idea of getting back into painting. So let's get you back painting. And sure enough, I called her a couple of weeks later. There's the thing about hypnosis that works so well is that all of those things that people fear are going to happen. Well, it's going to be really hard when I'm having that cup of coffee, or, like at 9 o'clock and at night, that's the one thing that I allow myself to do, and I really enjoy it. So we simply subsume something else in that position so that you don't feel deflated, like you've given something up, but that you're actually engaged in something more powerful, as something that you're more passionate about. So we do a lot of kind of manipulating in ways that are that fuel what it is that you're looking to get to, the goal that you wish.
And the biggest thing about quitting smoking is when you quit smoking and then you have something come up, and that you used to use that as a trigger, and it was like, I'm going to go have a cigarette, and because you're angry or whatever it is. And does the work that you do help people avoid that so that they don't turn? I've had many people say, would you just please start smoking again, because you're driving me crazy, and you're not a very nice person when you're trying to quit and stuff. Does that help with that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a great question, because it was a real fear for, in particular, this particular woman. Like, I know that I get grouchy. I know that I get really short-tempered, blah, blah, blah. And so once we understand what all the fears are, and the other thing about hypnosis that I have to say is, you, the client, need to want the change. So if your doctor tells you you have to quit smoking, or your wife or your husband is after you that you've got to quit smoking, it's not going to work unless you yourself want to change at like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 level. Because I'm not working with your wife or your doctor. I'm working with you. You're the one that needs to want the change. And then we talk through all of what those fears are. Well, before, when I did it, I was grouchy, or I put on weight, or I ate everything that was not tied down. And we encompass all of that into what, kind of the recovery moving forward, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's very interesting. And we're talking with Jacqueline Young. Go to her website, which is Open Minds with an S, Hypnosis, and openmindshypnosis.ca.
Yeah.
Because she's in Canada, don't you know? and stuff. We need to take our halftime break, and we shall be right back. And then I want to talk about some of the things that have to do with hypnosis. I'm a student of Dr. Michael Newton. He wrote the book Journey of Souls, and he used hypnosis to help people go into a very deep state, and they could actually observe past lives and also life between lives. And I would like to touch on that to see what Jacqueline knows about any of that stuff, and we will be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk. And we've got Jacqueline Young here. She's a mindset coach. She's also now I would love for you to tell me, because I have apparently committed a faux pas once or twice on this show. And I said, and we have a hypnotherapist with us. And they said, oh no, I'm a hypnotist. And it's like, okay, I give up. What's the difference?
It depends where you live. So I can't call myself a hypnotherapist. I can call myself a hypnotist. And in Ontario, it has to do with having other schooling, like in social work, or in working on a doctorate program in psychology, etc. What I do, though, is quite therapeutic through hypnosis. I have a master's in counseling, and I've taken all of that skill set and kind of pulled it into this, which I think is one of the reasons why I get really great results too. Able to ask some really pertinent questions very, very easily and insightfully. So that has certainly helped me. But a lot of what you're talking about is dependent on what your training was sometimes, but certainly where you live and what you're able to call yourself.
And what was your motivation to get into the business of helping people anyway?
My background was in education, and I retired as CEO of a school board in Ontario. And so I had a beautiful career. Like, I really loved every aspect of my career, from teacher to vice principal to superintendent, and then as a director. I like the idea of having a realm of influence. I love the idea of flattening an organization, making sure that all voices are heard and that people feel safe. And that for me is something that's really kind of been important to all of the work that I do, that people feel seen and heard and safe. And so when I realized that I was getting really dysregulated in my old job, I had to figure out why it felt like my body was not taking care of me the way that I had hoped it would. So I was dealing with vertigo and migraines. I put on like 30 pounds very, very easily. And it's because there was a disconnect for me in my mind of what I was being asked to do and what I felt I should be doing. That disconnect caused me a lot of concern, and therefore my body started kind of hyper taking it on. When I wanted to figure out what the heck had happened to me and why I was so dysregulated, every rabbit hole that I went down as part of my moving through that took me to hypnosis. My background was also in special ed, so I was always on top of brain research, so I knew about hypnosis. But once I started going down the rabbit holes, there was no stopping me. So, I mean, I knock your socks off. I am ready to talk to you about souls and lives between lives, and going back to your purpose and everything. There's nothing that I love more.
Well, and I will tell you this. Years ago, when I was doing my spiritual journey, before I was ever doing radio, and I was contemplating, I wasn't even contemplating at that point, but a friend came to me and he said, I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and I want you to buy the first book that speaks to you. And I said, speaks to me? I'm not exactly sure I know what that means. But I did. And right there in front of a key, at the end of the row in a kiosk, was Journey of Souls, which was written about that time by Dr. Michael Newton. And I picked it up and I started reading it right there in the store. And I said, I have to have this book because it spoke to me. Yeah. And so I went and I took it home and I read it cover to cover. And he had another book that was just published, Destiny of Souls. Yep. And I read that because I learned so much about, and this is part of the core beliefs that I've always had, is he put thousands of people under hypnosis, thousands, and they all had variations of the same story. Mm-hmm. Well, people living on the other side and what they did there, and the going to the council of elders and all, and so it taught me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you tell me, but that taught me that it was more true than not, because none of these people knew each other. None of them had been coached into, this is what I want you to say because this is what it is on the other side. None of them had, and nothing like that. But they came up with the same variations over and over and over again. He created the Newton Institute, and the people that he's trained there all say the same thing. They've done over many thousands, and they say, we get the same story over and over and over. Is it, well, let me ask you, is it true? My experience was, because it was hypnosis and it wasn't something that that he was manipulating you into, that it was real and that it was more truthful than not. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that oftentimes we are limited in our ability to attach language to things. And so, is it a belief? Yes. Is it true? I don't care. I don't know that I need to prove that it's true. And this is new for me. Like, I'm big on proving things and being right. So for me to be able to take that step back and say, it doesn't matter to me whether you believe this or not. What I will say is, it's one of the most comforting ways of thinking about a purpose and life and death that I've ever come across. So even though I felt I was very spiritual before I started getting into this work, once I started doing life between lives and past life regression, I mean, I just did this whole mind blown kind of thing, because it is quite incredible to see the peace that people can gain from understanding that, like when you pass over, when you shed yourself of, your skin and everything else, and you pass over, you'll probably go to a cleansing place. You'll probably go to a library and be able to see all the different aspects of your life with, gratefulness and a little bit of cautionary tales and, all that thing. You'll be before a council of elders who will talk to you about, what you were sent to learn and what you allowed yourself to learn, or did your ego get in the way and you kind of succumbed to wanting to be perfect, or retribution, like we talked about. When you can think that there is another way to be, which is filled with love and gratitude and really deeply compassionate, you're going to be kind of vibrating at a different frequency. And we know that there are vibrational frequencies to the difference between hate and scorn versus gratitude and love. We know that there's a huge difference. It feels different even in our body. It feels different. So I don't know that it's a big leap to then go, after I die, after I pass over, that I'm going to go through all of these different experiences, kind of take a look back on what I achieved and what I wanted to achieve, and then kind of say, okay, now I'd like to work on this aspect of things. I'd like to go back and figure out exactly what I was meant to do in this situation that I didn't do appropriately, to learn and gain that sense of gratitude and love and, compassion for others. When you think about how you want to live your life and how you want to be able to put things into an energetic field, then I don't know why you wouldn't believe it. Like for me, it just brings me so much calm and so much wonder about what we're all capable of doing and the power that we're able to step into and claim. I just think it's magical. And so I believe it. It makes perfect sense to me. And there's so many aspects of it that are in keeping with so many other different religions that it makes sense in that regard too. That's why I love it. That's why I love all of the learning that I've been able to do, and particularly take people through in terms of their own journeys of life between lives, because it's pretty powerful stuff. And even going back to the womb and figuring out what's your purpose, like that's incredible stuff.
It really seems to be. And a real quick story for you, and I may have told you this in our pre-interview, but Regan Forrester is a gentleman in California that has gone through the Newton Institute, and he likes to do a life between lives because he likes to go on the other side, because he can gather really good information there. And by the way, I want to make sure everybody's clear. The Council of Elders that we've talked about is not a judgment council.
No.
It is a guidance council to help you understand the good things that you did and the not so good things that you did, and to try and help you to do better and stuff. And one of those things is kindness.
Yes.
And they talk about that a great deal. And I'm going to play in a minute or so. I'm going to play this thing that we just created that I think is just phenomenal, and I would love your opinion on it. But and by the way, we're talking with Jacqueline Young, and go to her website again, which is openmindshypnosis.ca.
Yeah.
And go there, because she is phenomenal, and she can work with you over the phone. You don't have to be in the same room, and you don't have to go to, although I hear Ontario is a very pretty place.
It's a beautiful place. But you know what? You're right. I only do my work on Zoom. I do not have any clients in person. Everything is over Zoom. Because
of the energy that's involved with the energy. And when we come back from our break, energy is a really, really important aspect that science is just now on the tip of the iceberg of figuring out that maybe, just maybe, we are energetic beings in having a physical experience. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, I do. Yes.
I kind of figured you did, because that's so. I want to play this for you real quick, because one of and what I say at the end of every show is be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. And so I took the theme of that. And by the way, gentlemen, a study just came out. 90% of women, the first thing that they want in a relationship, the most pressing thing that they want, is kindness in a mate, empathy and kindness. And so that is really, really important. So let me play this, because and I'd love your opinion on it. And Brachelle, when we come back from this break, Brachelle's going to join us. So we will be so this, I'm substituting this for the break, because, it's my show. I can do anything I want. And this is what I want to do. So, so we'll be right back. But pay attention. I'd love your opinion.
The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this: be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.
And welcome back to, if you were just tuning in, what you were listening to is a short that we created, and it's all about kindness. And I would love your Jacqueline, meet Brachelle. Brachelle, meet Jacqueline.
Hi.
Nice to see you again, Rochelle.
You as well. I'm not freaking out this time.
Good girl.
I would love your opinion. What do you think of that?
I'm blown away, Kevin. It's so simple what you've said, and you've incorporated so many incredible thoughts into that. I don't know whether it was 30 seconds or what, but you've hit on all of the things that we've actually already talked about in terms of ego, compassion, fear, etc. And you've done it in a way that is just so accessible for people to kind of say to themselves, well, that's interesting. And the one thing that I will add to that, because people often forget this, is forgiveness of self, compassion for self, because we're often stuck in, being compassionate to other people or about other people. And sometimes it's the hardest thing for us to forgive ourselves for something that we didn't know when we didn't know it. Like if you were the victim of abuse and you are filled with shame and remorse and guilt about, I should have told someone, that ability to forgive yourself is paramount. And therein lies kind of the freedom to be able to move forward with however you want to then move through that. Not necessarily forgiveness of the abuser or the other person, but forgiveness for who you were in the moment. You were 6, you were 5, you were 13, you were 21. You need to be able to kind of regroup that and understand that forgiveness of self is so, so important to then live a life that's more fulfilling and more joyous, because that's when you'll be able to get rid of that albatross.
You know what the most exciting part to me is? We get to choose.
Yeah.
We get to choose how we're going to respond to things or react to things. And we can choose how we are going to be perceived by others. You can't change their perception, but you get to choose. And that's what's really cool. Brachelle, and I hope you've been listening, because this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Good. Do you have any thoughts or any questions for Jacqueline?
Yeah, just one of my questions is, Was there a student that you had, somebody that you coached that taught you something that changed the dynamic of who you were or why you did what you did?
Wow, that is such an incredible question. What I'll share with you is that almost every client I learned something from, and I know that sounds woo-woo and kind of a throwaway answer,
Well,
but it's true because every individual is so unique in terms of how they are accessing their own preconceived notions, their own unconscious mind, and all of the gifts that are there just waiting to be unfettered. And that's a word that I use a lot. Like, you've locked stuff down and now we just need to kind of turn the key and let all of that stuff loose because you have all of the answers that you require. What I will say, though, is a good friend of mine asked me just the other day, and it just rocked my socks. And she said, how do you know that you're right when you're talking to people? Like, how do you know what's the right thing to say? And first and foremost, I would say my training. But secondly, I mean, coming back to what Kevin and I were just talking about, I do believe that this is the work that I was meant to do. I had a great career before this. I enjoyed every aspect of it. But this feels like I'm in the pocket of something that is so transformational that I don't doubt anything that comes to my mind. And if it means, am I kind of touching in with my higher self or my angels kind of working through me? Sure, I'll go with that. Like, I don't
yeah.
hold anything back in terms of what could be, why this feels it works so well. Because it does. Like, there's something that feels very intuitive about how I ask the questions and where I'm able to take people and how deep we're able to go so quickly and then be able to do the work with such efficiency. That's a great question, though, Rochelle. Thank you so much for that.
Of course, thank you.
It is so interesting that we are, and people that you meet and that come to see you, do they recognize often that they have the ability to do and be and have anything that they choose to?
No, they really don't. And then, so one of the things that I will talk an awful lot about is that you have a sense of divinity. And I don't mean religious. I mean like a divining rod that is able to find the truth, or water, or metal, whatever that divining rod is meant for. But in our purposes, that that divination that you have, being a divine body and spirit, is about finding your true north, finding your purpose, finding about what was holding you back, and then being able to release it. Most people think it's always going to be around them or outside them. So I spend a lot of time on like LinkedIn talking about, really, this is as good as it gets. Like, Peggy Lee, is that all there is? Yeah, this is all there is. So we find our happiness via the small things, the conversations, the beauty in a flower, like hearing a baby's giggle, whatever it is. You want to make those little things stop you in your tracks and go, oh my God, life is amazing. Because there's way too much other stuff out there that is making you doubt why life is amazing. And it's the simple stuff that's going to be able to feed your soul, like really feed your soul, not your ego, but feed your soul and go, yeah, this is so worth it. Like, I am a divine being. I have a right and a purpose and a joyfulness. I just need to kind of find it again.
Rochelle, isn't she cool?
Yeah, I'm like, I think I need Jacqueline in my life because I love how you work with people. Because when you shift the mind, I love how your name is Mind Shift Coach. It's not life coach. It's not athletic coach. It's not goals coach. It's not a therapist. Like, but in a sense, you kind of cover all of that because it's all in the mind. And I've lived by this for a really long time now, and it kind of drives me nuts because I'm aware of when it happens, but it can still be really hard to control and just not have to do anything but walk away or get away from a situation, which sometimes is okay. But there's this point with changing your mindset. If you don't have control of your mind, you have control of nothing. Would you say that's fair?
Oh yeah, we were talking before about feeling victimized or feeling defeated
Right.
all the time, and then
Yeah.
once you get there, then you just continuously feed yourself, especially with how news is coming into us or how we view things. Then everything shifts to the negative aspect of things, and it can be a real grind to move people into, well, what is it that you do want? Like, do you want to live there? Like, I'll talk about fear and shame and guilt an awful lot. You want to learn what they have to give you. There's gifts in those feelings, but you don't want to invite them in and give them coffee and have them be comfortable. You want to have them stop at the door, see what they're selling, take it in, be curious about the learning, figure out if there's something worthwhile to pay attention to there, like you just said, and then do the work, but do not let them be comfortable. Like, you don't want them to be part of you.
Right. Is there one specific thing you see that helps people more generally that they can practice, like when they're first starting this and want to change their life and their mind, but have no idea what to do? Like, is there one specific key thing?
One of the things that we all say is you need to get curious about yourself. Because if you're not, and about other people too, but more importantly about yourself. So when you have a feeling, the hardest thing to do is to stop. So release your jaw, get out of fight or flight, release your jaw, take a big breath in, exhale really hard. You want to engage your nervous system appropriately, get out of fight or flight, and then look at that, what you've identified as a behavior that you don't like, and say, isn't that interesting? And be curious about it as if it were a friend. Like that was through it. And you wouldn't be judgmental if it was a friend. You wouldn't say, oh my God, I got to get over this, I'm not worthy. You would say, no, hang on. What was it about that was a trigger for you? Where did that come from? Isn't that interesting? Therein lies a lot of power. And therein lies your ability to kind of position yourself differently than victim. And that's really, really empowering for people.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And Rochelle, she said something earlier that I just found, it made me giggle because it was so good and it was really ecstatic. And that is, if somebody comes at you and they're coming to you angry because they've got an agenda or they want retribution or something, if you just say these two words and smile back at them, you're right. What are they going to go? Where are they going to go from there? It's like, I'm right. And they don't have to be right is the thing. But what you're diffusing is the situation that has gotten totally out of control, and it doesn't do anybody any good. So you just say, okay, you're right. And then you can turn around and walk away. And what are they going to do? They're going to follow you and say, I'm right? Jacqueline, is that kind of it made me giggle. It was so fun.
Yeah, no, and I love it. And I think it was Peter Dreikers. I know the last name is Dreikers. I'm dating myself here because when I was going through Teachers College, we learned about this in response to kids' anger. And when you think about it, that 0 to 60 anger that kids can be involved in is exactly the same anger about retribution and, being right, being righteous in your anger. So one of the phrases that he had is you take the sail out of their wind, and then there's no buffer. There's nowhere for it to go. It's a beautiful metaphor, like that you're the one that has the sail. You have the ability to just say, okay, whatever it is. And when you literally take that sail away, then all of that exhale that they're doing, it just kind of dissipates. It's got nothing to kind of buffer it back to you.
And in a weird kind of way, it's actually a way for you to regain your own power.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It'll make people respect you and communicate to you much differently. I'm not saying that I am 100% good at this yet. It's a long time coming, but I've loved every single moment of it. And Jacqueline, will you please come back, because we have to have another conversation while I'm here for the full hour.
I would absolutely love to come back. This has been a real joy for me. Thank you.
Has anybody ever told you look like Bette Midler?
Yes. Yes. It's the little tiny eyes.
No, that's not it. It's also the smile and the energy that you have and all of that stuff. We've run out of time, but can you give us just a couple of moments to tell us anything that you want us to know?
You know what? I'm going to end with forgiveness of self. You've got to get there. Do not stay in a place where you are full of recrimination of self. And those are usually guilt, fear, and oh geez, shame, the big trifecta. So you do not want to live with those as part of your GPS guiding you where you need to go. They will not serve you well. You'll be really quite disabled by what they do to your life. So if you have anything that feels like it's, oh yeah, that's the shame from my mother said this, or, like when I was abused, or when I got myself into a situation, or I was sexually assaulted, whatever, you don't want to live with any of that. So see someone who's going to be able to help you move through that forgiveness of self, because therein lies your real power.
Jacqueline Young has been our guest. Go to her website, which is Open Minds with an S, hypnosis .ca.
Yeah.
Yep. And there wasn't something else there and stuff. So in any event, thank you. And Brachelle's absolutely right. Will you come back? You can give both of us a therapy session. That would be fun.
I'd love that.
So, and thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in a half hour with another episode of Positive Talk if you happen to be listening live. So stay with us. And Jacqueline Young, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at KM.